Well, so let's start the discussions, and away from the World Cup, we now have to focus on politics. We know that's very cartoon or that's very thing there. And I've got many of us laughing about the World Cup and how perhaps ECG will not keep their word. And indeed, I think in some of the areas on Thursday, they didn't keep their word to put the lights on throughout the period. I have in the studio Horace Ankra, and Horace Ankra is a former chairman of the NDC UK Ireland, and thanks for joining us this morning. We also have Nana Fridua Ufriata. Thanks for joining me, Nana. How are you?
Thank you. That's great.
It's been a while.
That's
You've already opened nomination for the flagbearship race of your party, the MPP. We've seen some personalities take up the nominations. You can tell us some of them?
Well, I'm told it's Mr. Asamoah Boateng, Dr. Preku, Mr. Sayamea. That makes 3. Who else?
Okay. Well, I think we're having difficulties with your microphone, so we'll take a break and then we'll fix that. We'll be right back. So, Nana, you're talking about the number of people who have picked nominations, and you're saying so far you only know about
you wanted me to list them.
Okay.
You want was Mr. Asamoah Boateng, Mr. Sayamea, Dr. Kunedo Preku. There's supposed to be 5. Somebody else, and then Akufo Addo.
Asamoah Boateng, Sayamea, Preku, Akufo Addo. Okay. Now, the date still has not been set. We're told that June 19, the committee is going to, National Executive.
We have a meeting on the 19th of June. The National Council has a meeting on, on the 19th of June to settle on the final arrangements.
Okay.
Yeah.
From the time when you set a date to the time when you've opened nominations, is there not any fear that perhaps by the time you set the date, and if the date is too close to the time when they started picking nomination forms, they wouldn't have had enough time to campaign?
I don't think that should be a problem. Now nominations are open. They end July 7th, I believe. By July 7th, the dates for elections will be held. Clearly, from all indications, we're going to go to our super delegates conference. So that date will have to be set by June 19th. After June 19th, we'll know that date. It's enough time. I don't know how much time anybody needs to campaign. We've seen in other places they use 3 months to do a national election. So why would we be bothered?
You're making reference to the NDC?
No, I'm saying other places. NDC is in Ghana. In other places, they open an election time, and then in the short period, it's over.
Which of the candidates will you be supporting?
Which of the candidates will I be supporting?
No. Will you, if they become candidates,
why are you asking me that?
Okay, if you don't want to answer.
I'm surprised that you would ask me that. It means you haven't been following.
On the front page of the Ghanaian Observer, Nana Akufo Addo is assuring of a clean contest. He's one of the leading personalities who picked the forms early enough.
Well, thank you. Let me first take the opportunity to wish the Black Stars all the best now that the World Cup has started. I believe that watching last night's game, we realized that it's going to be exciting. And watching Brazil play last night, playing the Ghanaian style, it only tells me that Ghana will do well this time around, much better than early 2010. So
that's semi-final. So if you say we'll do better.
Oh yeah, sure.
The Ghana team.
Yeah. Well, talking about, I don't know, I wouldn't say much about the MPP flagbearship. I mean, as an NDC and as a party in government, I know that for good governance, you would need a very good opposition. So what I can say is that in their attempts to put their house in order, I would wish them well, because once the NDC is in government, I expect a very strong opposition. So all the best to the NPP in search of a flag bearer. The best candidate of the lot win.
But more importantly, is it not critical that we have such assurances coming from, apart from Nana Addo, the other personalities who will be contesting the position, especially when sometimes the vituperations or some of the things they say is not well taken by the rank and file?
I think with time, what I believe that politicians are learning is that internal contests are not internal fights. Obviously, there will be factions because there will be various candidates. There will be various party members supporting individual candidates. And then at the end of the day, what you expect is that all these factions will come together so that you find a stronger party moving forward to do whatever they have to do. So I think politicians are learning that whatever you say will be on record. And at the end of the day, it will only go to hurt your own party. So it's about time that we actually tell the people who are going to be voting for us our message, how are we going to move the party forward or the country forward, more than us trying to paint up
each other
black. So at the end of the day, I think politicians are learning that what is needed is the message that you have, the hope that you want to give to the people, not you trying to bring your opponent down.
Those assurances from the candidates will be critical, Nana. The assurances that, well, they need to have a clean contest, a contest that is devoid of...
They don't have a choice. It's required of the party.
Well, we do understand, but usually, and we've seen it, I mean, sometimes the comments that are made across the media has not been in good taste.
But not from the candidates. They haven't come from the candidates. Well, your question to me was from the candidates, and I'm saying that...
There would be candidates, yes.
Then the candidates are required.
Well, perhaps not the leading ones, but sometimes they...
I don't understand. The candidates. The candidates themselves are required by the party to make that pledge. It is part of the forms you pick up. It's a code of conduct. So they don't have a choice but to do their best not to go off, and yeah. So that's not. It's regardless. And we've heard. I mean, at least we've heard Akufo Addo come out say clearly that that's not the way to win an election. That's a commitment.
But when we have perhaps even their supporters, whether they really are their supporters or groups within the political parties who come out to support these individuals, come to make such statements, and each day when you monitor the media, at least you get to have some of these sparsely across the space.
And that's the problem. Those who are making those statements are typically not the ones who will be part of the Electoral College. And so their influence is questioned, especially when they go off. If the party has said don't speak vile of your candidate's opponent, and you go off, who's listening? Because those who will be doing the voting are not interested in that type of language. So they come on air. I think it's a good thing that they get exposed, because then it allows the rest of us to know who to avoid and who not to. Yeah, because you don't want division in your party. So if you're going to speak bad, I'm not going to hear you. You know. So those groups can be effective. First of all, the party says that nobody should be forming these types of groups. But if they do, and if they're trying to lobby for votes for their candidates, the suggestion is that they should go, even if you come publicly, the language should be tempered, it should be decorous, and it should target those who are going to vote, so you speak properly. That's what's required.
Across the two parties, how true is the utterance that is made by some of these leading figures, that those who come out to canvass for votes for them or for support for these individuals really don't come from their camps, or they have no link with them? How do they convince the grassroots, the rank and file? Groups,
you mean how do the supporters convince the grassroots?
How do the candidates or the individuals who want to be candidates convince the entire party that, well, all these groups that come out and say would want perhaps somebody else to be this and that, we have no link to such groups, because we've had such statements made?
Well, I think it's very difficult to convince people that you don't have any links, because these guys or these groups do come out, I mean, in real support of a particular candidate. So it's very difficult to say that you don't have any links. But I believe that some of these candidates actually don't have links, because let's face it, some of these groups actually come out and do their own stuff. And it might either affect the candidate, or it might either bring the candidate to a higher height. So at the end of the day, it has its
pros and cons.
Yes, pros and cons. But I think that the best thing that you want to do to your opponent is that what we have, or what we call you going back the scenes to research into the opponent's weaknesses. You see, you have the right to do that, but at the end of the day, I don't think it is proper to actually come out and letting people know what your opponent's weaknesses are.
But you see, you're supposed to be coming out with new things. So if you have an opponent and you find out what they can't do, or what they're not talking about, and you use it, there's nothing wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with
What is wrong is when you're insulting. That's what's wrong. Why? I think that the NDC is doing a terrible job. Shouldn't I say so? As far as I'm concerned, there's a lot of corruption around, and they're supervising it. There's a total mismanagement of our system, and they're supervising it. I have not insulted.
You mean perceived, or?
What do you mean by perceived? I'm saying that's what's going on. And I'm saying that now. I have not insulted. These are matters of fact.
Well, you're making categorical statements.
Yes. And I'm saying they are matters of fact. Now, how do I propose to deal with them? I'm saying that when the NPP comes into office, we will make sure that these corrupt acts are not part of our system. I'm saying that we will manage properly. We will not mismanage. Now, these things I've said, where is the insult in any of those things? As opposed to saying, oh, and then you come and say something private about me. There's nothing important about that. So that's what we need to knock out of our system. And I think that is the media that should pioneer that. Because when somebody comes on air and comes to say those vile things, you should quarantine them. Do not bring them back. But somehow you guys seem to bring them back and probably make them even the champions of the airwaves. And that's
so you mean the general media or multimedia?
No, the general media, of which multimedia is a part. That's the problem, that you shouldn't be bringing those people. Yeah, because there are good people out there who do clean politics. And that's what we should be projecting.
Okay, so for example, if we have a gentleman like Mr. Lanchevante, he comes out to say, Nanado Dankwe Akufo Addo doesn't appeal to, so to speak, floating voters.
What's wrong with the comment?
Okay.
He hasn't insulted anybody. He's told you that
these are the
per his understanding of things, this is how he sees things. So now, if I as somebody who leans towards Akufo Addo, I were to meet him, I'll ask him, one, how do you prove that? You know, that's the challenge, that's the debate. How do you prove it? What do you have to show? You know, how do you explain X, Y, Z against what you said? He did not insult Akufo Addo. Yeah.
Your party, I know you're chairman.
I'm a vice chairman.
You're a vice chairman. You're a vice chairman, Eastern Region.
Yeah.
And your party in the Ashanti region, they convened a demonstration. They called
beautiful demonstration.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Very effective.
It was effective. What was the rationale?
Aren't you suffering? Were your lights on this morning? Did you have water?
Well, my lights were off around 4.
Why are they treating you that way? That's the question. Why are we being treated this way? You know, and the NDC responds with, oh, and Kufuor's time there was... Did we have this? Where the president comes and gives you 5 promises. Every other month he says, oh, it's going to get... And then one month in particular, he even dares to say that it will never happen again. Barely 2 months later, we're back to the same thing. And then in places like the Ashanti region, and it is stated clearly by officials of the regulatory bodies and all the institutions that operate these facilities, that those matters are fact.
Yeah.
That the light-off over there is more erratic than in other places.
Is that true?
That's what has been reported in Ashanti.
I think
the PURC, the PURC PRO apparently came out to admit it, that they're getting more lights. In any regular day that they're supposed to have lights, the lights will probably go off 3 times or something like that. Should they not complain? You go and pilot this capitation, which experts have told you is a bad idea to start with. And when you pilot it there, you're not doing anything to fix the problems it's creating. They should sit there and not complain. Health insurance is supposed to help people, not hurt them. And they shouldn't complain. Okay. So it's justified. And if I'm sitting in Accra and I'm not affected by this erratic thing, and I'm not suffering from the problems they're suffering with the capitation grant, does that mean that, therefore, I think they are making noise? That's not. Then what was the essence of brotherhood? What's the essence of living in Ghana? Who's to say that some of your business is not connected to Kumasi or any part of the Ashanti region, and therefore they shouldn't be concerned? So I don't understand when people think that that was an effective demonstration, and if I had my way, I'd say that in another 2-3 months they should show some more love like that, because they were speaking for a lot of us.
You are saying that such demonstration should be replicated across the country by
and even
by the
repeated in Ashanti. And even repeated in Ashanti. I'm saying everywhere we must. In the eastern region, we're thinking about how to approach this business. This is a problem.
President of the party, vice chairman of the party.
I don't understand.
As vice chairman of the party, you have sat down to think.
No.
I'm saying organize
I'm saying that as the eastern region, we're considering that.
Okay.
To go on demonstration.
No, we're considering another approach to dealing with the same thing, to add on to the pressure that you guys deserve.
So what are you saying, that there will be demonstration in the eastern region?
One form or the other.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you make of in the milieu of, well, as I said, the race is up now, and now we have demonstrations being convened one way or the other. Now we have a political party that has convened a demonstration, and a big region like the Ashanti region.
Yeah, I mean,
putting a lot of pressure on your government.
Oh, what sort of pressure? I mean, I don't think they're putting any pressure on us. The NDC as a party and as a party in government, I think we have our program. Ghanaians voted for us because of the program that we have for Ghanaians, and I believe that that is what we are focused on. What happened in Kumasi? Fair enough, a decision by a party that lost an election and probably are looking forward to being recognized by Ghanaians through another means. I mean, if you heard my good friend here, he said the Eastern region are even considering another form. Now, I believe that the only form that you have an impact on the people of the country is that you have a good program, you let them know what your program is, and then eventually what they do is that when they understand and see the hope in your program, they elect you into government. And then you focus on your program. And that is exactly what the president...
As a party, are you worried that perhaps all these give you great indications or signs that people are disillusioned?
Oh, obviously, there are things that you'll be looking at, but they aren't things that is going to put you under any pressure. You obviously, as a party that is in power, whatever is happening in the country, you must be concerned, but not necessarily putting you under any pressure. Having said that, I'm not saying that there aren't hardships or everything is smooth sailing.
But they don't warrant demonstrations?
It's a choice, and that is what they have done. But then I wouldn't say that it doesn't warrant them sitting and thinking that the best way is to demonstrate. I don't believe that it is the best way, but the NPP thinks it's the best way. That is fine. The impact that it will have on the country is one thing. But what I'm saying is that that wouldn't derail us from focusing on the program that we have for Ghanaians.
You know what it means? when they talk like that, you know what it means? Here in Ethiopia, they really don't care.
Who said that?
No.
That's what they do. What did he just say? That as far as he's concerned, it really doesn't
By
matter.
implication?
No,
Because what you did was posed to him whether it was pressure on the government, and his response basically says that.
Well, you're a journalist, so I think you're.
No, I'm not.
You want to take over my job?
No, I'm not a journalist to start with. And the issue is that that's what you raised to him, and his response basically means we're not interested. That's what he's saying. That they really don't care. They don't think it made an impact. Here in Ethiopia, that's the mentality.
I've been wanting to ask a leading figure question, that if a political party which has a big stake as far as in the electoral demographic of the country convenes a demonstration, what does it mean? Because as far as the results are concerned, you have a certain percentage, I believe, a very huge stake. So you would always be having the numbers. Is it prudent for you to go onto the streets and demonstrate as a party?
Why not? I don't fully get the question, but I do understand that you are wondering whether we should be on the streets.
I'm wondering whether as a political party, the best way for you to protest, for you to protest the inactions of or actions of an opponent, which is the ruling party or government, is to hit the streets. Because I believe the best way to oppose them, apart from what you'll be doing, is to wait for 2016.
How do you wait? Here are the issues.
Because you're not a pressure group, are you? You're a political party.
What does a political party do? Puts pressure. Well, if you are in government, you make sure things are happening. If you are not in government, you want to be in government. So you make sure that the party in government is on its toes.
If you insensibly do that,
and you prove that you are better.
Now, if you insensibly do that,
those who want to get
don't you create an atmosphere of that makes it difficult for the ruling party to govern?
In the minds of who? The ruling party. If they can't govern, the people who move them out, then we move in. That is as simple as that.
You mean before they are moved out in 2016?
First of all, if you understand what you're doing, no amount of pressure should shake you.
No, because you have the followers. No matter what you do, if you hit the street, you have the followers. If you understand
what you're doing, you will not be fazed. And if it is the truth that what you are doing is right, you will not be fazed by the pressure. What happens is that it is true that this government is corrupt. It is true that they are totally mismanaging our economy. It is true.
You're making categorical statements.
Am I right or wrong? It is true that our energy is badly managed. It is true that our health system is in chaos. It is true that we have a poor educational system running right now under this government. They are not managing our education. They don't buy chalk. They tax condoms. I'm saying that we have fundamental problems.
They tax condom. They remove the tax.
Well, it's English I'm speaking. I'm saying that these are the things that they have done. And so it makes you wonder their capacity. This is a government that is not sensitive to the realities of their own mismanagement. So that you give money to Woyome. We have raised issues about it. Whether you think you won an election or not, that matter was a matter of serious corruption issues. You go ahead now to pay Suba and other things. Fundamental corrupt actions, JIDA. The best you can do is spank a finger of the person who's done wrong.
You sound very emotional about these things. But,
I don't know about emotion, passionate. If the passion is emotion, that's fine. But the point is that should we not be worried? Because what is the long-term effect? Now everybody thinks that every politician is a corrupt politician. Meanwhile, it's the NDC that's in government.
The rationale for my question is the fact that, well, I feel that if you're a political party, if you go demonstrate, then is that the best way to vent your grievance?
Well, so that's why I'm telling you that there are avenues to express your opposition to the way things are going. One of them is to go onto the streets because the people must also see.
As a political party, is that the best way?
Well, I'm trying to answer you because you asked me 3 times.
Yes, I'm asking
you. And I'm saying that it is one of the reasons for going onto the streets is that the people themselves who are hurt by these bad policies must also know that they have an avenue to express to the government that they are not happy. And one of the ways to do that is that when you go to Parliament, the NPP has been very vociferous in dealing. When you listen to the party's authorities, they've spoken very clearly. Recently, on this matter of the writing of national health insurance, filling national health insurance forms without asking for your nationality. You know, yesterday your own Joy FM reported that up in Boko or someplace like that, there's the officials there are saying that people are flocking in from other countries to write their names under the health insurance scheme. So was the NPP wrong? These are real fundamental issues. And what is happening is that the Electoral Commission is registering people with the National Health Insurance card. The NPP has raised this from the Eastern region. We raised it first. So these are serious matters.
I believe all the political parties have raised it.
I don't know why you said that, because the fact is that we raised it first. Whether other political parties have substantiated it is fine with us. The point is that we raised it first, and it is there. And these are the real things that are killing the country.
Points made. Now you have introduced a new biometric ID card for the next election?
Yes, we have.
Oh, what's the itinerary? What's the... is it like the national identification system?
I think,
or the voter, so to speak, the electronic means of voting? Is that the rationale?
Well, they every political party, I think, apart from you wanting to be in government, is to make sure that you know where your people are. You should know who are your members, and you should know where they're coming from, and monitor them, and actually make sure that they're doing the right things per the Constitution and stuff like that. We have actually introduced this new biometric card just to make sure that we know our members and serve them. Now, then monitor their contribution to the party, and not only to the party, but go on to look at their contribution in making sure that Ghana moves from point A to point B. Now, it's something that obviously we've not seen in Ghana before. It's a good thing that I believe is making the NDC more attractive. So at the end of the day, it is good that we should do that, and it is something that is good to have, because it will be very good to say that, look, with my card, straight away I'll be identified as somebody from Ablekuma North. I pay my dues, this is where I live, and stuff like that. So yesterday that was launched at Medina and by the president. Few members of the party had their cards. I went with my voter's card, and I got my one. It's a brilliant thing to have. This is the first time that a political party has actually introduced something like this.
Really? I think the NPP, they have some I don't know whether it's biometric or...
It's not biometric. This is the very first time that a political party has actually introduced this. Will tell you everything about Horo Sankara as a member of.
You're showing off your
I'm not showing off
your beauty.
Your
picture is on the card. You're showing off your beauty.
I'm showing off what a political party is doing
your picture is on the card.
So on the card it shows your region, your constituency,
everything,
and your branch has been coded.
Everything.
And you have an ID number.
Yeah.
So will this be used for voting?
Oh yes.
Let's say in the election of a flag bearer.
That's correct. That's correct. That is correct. For example, with this card, if you're not supposed to be in the hall of our Congress, straight away it is detected and stuff like that. It's so sophisticated. It is biometric. So sophisticated that I think maybe, I don't know whether the NPP are going to follow our footsteps, but I think it's a very good thing to have to account for.
Well, they've also taken initiatives that you followed through before, so.
This is the first time. Well, I know that they have a bigger electoral college.
How is this going to influence the electoral college you are going to have? Do you intend also expanding like the MPP? Because the MPP, they have over 100,000, and that's huge.
So obviously, I think Fana has said that before. Everybody, all leading members of the party have said that before. I think it's more democratic to actually expand the electoral college. I am for that, and I hope that will be very soon. But this is a very, very huge step, because it is very, very important as a political party to know where your members are.
I think that...
What do you make of the initiative?
Two things. One, it's not a bad idea. Two, it's a questionable idea coming from the NDC.
Why?
Listen, why haven't we put this kind of effort into our national identification system? They've been in government 6 years now. The national identification system, does it have this? Our voter ID card system for our elections, has this effort been put in? What was their position when it was proposed by the Dankwa Institute and others that we should do this biometric thing on an expanded basis so that it affects our electoral system properly and all that? What was their reaction? Let us go back to that. Why have they been very quiet about how they... The only thing they keep doing is telling, oh, we're going to do a biometric thing. Oh, we're good. And then at some point they started, oh, we've started. Really? The NDC started registering people with their biometric, for their biometric thing, and they just mentioned it once or twice, and it was ongoing. So what exactly is going on? There's something sneaky about this that we must be worried about. Especially...
In what time?
Well, I've just raised these issues, especially when we know the kind of system they like to run when an election is going on. We know them. We know their track record. We know that they'll force people to vote a certain way. Go and check the records of 92. Go and check the records of 96. We know them to go and take ballot boxes and run with it. Look at the history of the last court case that we went through in 2013. Just map out who the NDC are when it comes to these things, and then you have to raise questions. But most importantly, why is it that this effort is not being put into our national ID system, into our national health system, so that people can go, so that this, for example, this matter I raised with the national health insurance matter, we will be able to do it so that we don't have non-qualified people signing in. Why?
So you're saying that this same effort should have been put in?
You would think that being in government, you would think that, I think it's my turn to speak. You would think that the effort that they have done to do their own thing, for whatever reason they are doing it, they would use it for Ghanaians to benefit first.
What reason can you hazard? What reason can you hazard?
Well, I've told you that as far as I'm concerned, the NDC has a record. So we must be very wary of this biometric thing. It's not a bad idea.
Mr. Ankara, what's your response
apply to Ghana first.
No, I mean, this thing was promised over 4 years ago in Tamale. I can't remember when Dr. Kabreje and Asidin Kitia were
well promised, but we have a national ID system.
I'm saying like get your journalists to go and track them down on this particular matter.
No,
when it was proposed,
this is 10.
Yes, it is. He just gave me a minute. He proposed that we should do this biometric. Go and check what this is. He said that.
This is a step that a political party has taken. You understand? To move the political party into modern times. Yeah, that is the political party's sort of business. Now, there's nothing wrong in us enhancing our national identification kind of system. Okay, I have always said that that thing has to be improved upon. But this is a political party that is actually taking steps to identify its own people in a certain way, in a certain manner. I mean, my good friend here is talking about record. I mean, we all have stories. We all have some kind of thing.
That's a weak response.
But I am not thinking that this is the platform for that. I can list a whole lot of things against the MPP. But is it the way forward? It is not the way forward. The NDC has taken a step that we believe is the way forward for the party. You understand? So I don't see where my good friend is coming from. Now, with the national identification card, we've always been saying it, that is the only way. When we get that right, whether it's the MPP, NDC, or CPP, when we get that right, that is what is going to solve so many problems for us. Okay, it's going to start from where you and I live, by naming our streets, numbering our homes well, and stuff like that, and making sure that people actually register, and making sure that our births and deaths are recorded properly. Now, this will help with the national identification kind of thing. It's a general thing. he started by saying that what we have done in the NDC is good. Why are we not transferring it?
Yes, it's the same effort.
Same effort.
And you have a bigger platform. You're the party in government.
We are the party in government.
An initiative that will commence.
We are the party in government.
That's what he's saying.
But my question to you now is that, are we collapsing the national identification kind of program? No. Because we have...
Is that also a good answer?
Oh, sir.
It was a question. I'm trying to,
we haven't
enhance the discussion.
We are making sure that things that has to be done, for example, naming street properly, numbering houses properly, all these things go into national identification. We are doing that. So I don't see where... Yes, of course. Don't you know?
Well, you're stuck in the Eastern region. I'm glad you're answering
it's
really.
It's based in Accra, and you didn't know that.
Here's the issue. He says all these things where they said, oh, it's a good idea for Ghana. But as for them, they've implemented it for their party.
But
that's the good question. Why in government?
And they a smaller. No, I want to add that. And they a smaller constituency if you compare them to the national efforts. And then I know that the biometric registration in itself was for voting was started by a university or a tertiary institution in Ghana. And we've had students in IT, etc., who have even bettered their own technology and their own applications and innovations, and we have international standards for deploying such IS systems, etc. So,
on your first question, should not our political parties, when in government, consider as most important the interest of Ghanaians? Isn't that the first concern that they should have? That every policy they implement primarily should first be about Ghanaians, and therefore how is it that they think that they should quickly get a biometric registration system, but you and I cannot say confidently that our national ID system is biometric?
You think it's a good idea?
Our national health insurance
system. And you think it's a good idea?
Do
you think it's a good idea?
No, he accepted it.
That was the first statement.
What the MPP do say?
I'm saying, you see, I don't know that it is our first concern right now. The most important thing is that Ghanaians must have good health care. Ghanaians must have access to documents like this biometric card.
And did you do that?
So that the fact that we didn't do it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. That's why you are in government. So when you ask me a question like that, it shows the weakness of your government and its intentions. Because when you ask me that, and you have power, and when you got the power, you used it to do it for yourself. That's selfishness, greed, and corruption.
Okay, your last statement, we have to end.
My last statement, selfish greed and what? We witnessed an MPP government that made Ghana weak and shameful. Did we not? I mean, this is not the time for us to be talking about listing kind of things. We witnessed a party that made this country so shameful and weak. Did you not witness it? For 8 solid years.
Okay.
So I think he wants you to answer the question because
he didn't ask the question. He made a statement.
This is my answer to the question. Yes.
Your last statement. Last statement. Short.
Yeah.
We have to end.
On this matter of biometric thing, it is crucial that we watch them closely. And I'd suggest that journalists who have the capacity must go into this and trace it. We must be very careful. We're going into another election, and there are all kinds of funny things going on. All kinds of funny things are going on. Like I said, Joy FM has just published yesterday a report that up in the north, there's a complaint by National Health Insurance officials that people from outside Ghana are registering with our system. The electoral system is using that national ID health insurance thing to register people for our electoral college. We have to be careful.
Okay, thank you very much. The gentleman who just spoke is Nana Fredua Uferata. He is the MPP's vice chairman of the Eastern Region.
Second vice chairman.
Second vice chairman.
I don't want to take away the first vice chairman's position.
Okay, and the former chairman of the NDC for UK, Ireland. Is it Northern Ireland?
No, UK and Ireland.
UK and Ireland, and Horace Nia Yankra.
He was in charge of 2 countries. Now he's in charge of soccer. Us going to Brazil. He's not
going to Brazil.
How do you know?
Okay, we're taking a break. I'll ask you whether he's going to Brazil
he is going
when we go for this very break. Just stay on.